Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Just Fine podcast. All right, let's just get right into it because I had a lot to say on this. So we're going to stay on the trend of talking about dedicating whole episodes to different aspects of my life. So this week's episode, since this is episode 5, kind of like anniversary episode, I guess, or milestone, we're going to talk about my fuck-ups in relationships, my fuck-ups with women, my fuck-ups in flirting, why I can't get a girlfriend, the whole kit and caboodle. This may be a two-parter, like one of me just telling stories of my screw-ups and one of me trying to analyze myself as to why I can't get a girlfriend and why I can't, I'll always be alone. But let's just keep it light today. I'll just talk about 4 people I've either dated or have crushes on, and how it went wrong or how bad it was. And then that'll give you a nice little insight into why I've been single for a majority of my life and why I feel like I'll always be single. So let's just start. Elementary school. First crush. Everyone remembers their first crush, right? This girl I went to elementary school with, she was like the bee's knees. Before I even knew what a crush was, I had a crush on this girl. And I would try to do anything to impress her. Like in elementary school, we had these things called field days, which I'm sure all elementary schools do. Like, we had a whole day dedicated to, like, going around school and, like, playing different games. Tug-of-war, 100-meter dash, egg spoon races, water fights, random shit like that. And at field day, I would always try to, like, impress her by, like, doing cool shit or trying to be, like, super strong at tug-of-war. One year in particular, I remember actually doing the one thing I've always wanted to do as like a feat of athleticism, because we had the 100-meter dash. And usually whatever 5th grade boy won meant you were the fastest kid in school, because our elementary school only goes up to 5th grade. And so there was a boy named Christian. He was like my bro for life. I still consider him a bro, even though I haven't seen him since middle school. But every year when we did 100-meter dash, he would always beat everyone else in our grade. He was always super fast. But in 5th grade, I was like, I gotta win, because I gotta be the fastest kid in school. I gotta impress this girl. And so I remember, and I ended up winning. I actually won and got the fastest time in the 100-meter dash out of everyone in school. And during the awards, they gave people who won, like, every event or whatever, they got, like, a CD disc and just, like, wrote the award on the CD-ROM. And so I had this little CD that had, like, a ribbon strung through it that said, like, fastest kid or, like, 100-meter dash winner or whatever. And I was like, fuck yes, I'm the fastest fucking kid in school, like, really, like, flaunting it to try to impress this girl. And I heard someone say that my friend Christian, like, cried because he lost. I don't think that's true. I would hate to find out that was true. Christian, I don't think you're listening, but if you did, I'm sorry. You're still way faster than me, and you're doing cool things in life. But that didn't go anywhere with this girl. She couldn't give a fuck. But then we all left elementary school. We all went to different middle schools for the most part. Like, she and another kid in our class went to one middle school. Me and Christian went to another middle school. We all kind of spread out all over the place. But then Facebook became a thing. And so you start connecting with everyone. Once they get their Facebook, I connected with this girl. And we, like, traded phone numbers because we also had gotten cell phones by that point. And so we started texting each other. And so then was really my opportunity to, like, learn how to flirt, especially in this digital age that we had started navigating. And so I did what any middle school aged boy does when they're trying to talk to a girl they like. I would Google things to say to a girl you like, or things to tell your crush, or pickup lines, or like random shit like that. Cringy, I know. But if you met me, it kind of makes sense now. And so, and surprisingly, it worked for the most part. It got to the point where she asked me if I wanted to go to the homecoming game at her school with her. And I said, oh, absolutely. What day is it? And she told me, and I said, oh, I have something, like I have a prior engagement, but I'll get out of that because I'd rather go to the game with you. And I asked my parents, and my parents were like, yeah, yes, we want you to interact with a girl. So yes, please go to this. We'll get you out of this other thing. And so I told her that I can get out of this other thing. And she said, oh, no, never mind. I said, wait, no, I can get out of this thing. It's not an issue. I'll leave that thing and I'll go with you to the game. It's not a problem. I want to. And she said, oh, no, forget it. And then just stopped texting me back. I was like, fuck. And then this created like a whole inner turmoil in my head for years to come, to this day, of freaking out and not knowing what to say, or worrying that the thing I say could ruin like a flirtatious exchange or the beginnings of a relationship with someone, because I didn't even realize that saying I had a prior engagement that I can get out of could ruin it. And so now everything is a fucking landmine in my mind. And it kind of like fucked me up for years to come, to the point where like we just didn't talk, didn't really see each other ever again. We texted each other like once or twice from between then and the end of high school, even though we never went to the same school again and didn't even live in the same city for most of that. And then we ended up going to the same college for undergrad for a few years. And I think I saw her on campus like once or twice, but I was so shell-shocked and embarrassed by my fuck up during those middle school days that I just didn't say anything at all. And like, I think we're both fully aware that we went to Baylor at the same time, but we just didn't say anything to each other or try to like reconnect. So yeah, crippling embarrassment has kept me from a lot of potential relationships, flirting. It's kept me from like even telling girls that I'm attracted to them or like them. Just crippling embarrassment. And that segues nicely kind of into the next girl. I'm not saying any of their names just for just so, I mean, no one even listens to this podcast, so it really doesn't matter, but I'm just not going to say their names anyway. There's this girl that was in my 7th grade Texas history class that I thought was really cute. And I would tell all my friends, like, oh, she's super cute. I wish I could ask her out. I didn't even know what ask her out meant. And everyone in school would just say, oh, I want to ask her out. Oh, I want to ask her out. Oh, I want to ask her out. Or I asked her out and she said yes. But no one ever talked about like what that meant. You just kind of asked someone out in middle school. Y'all were boyfriend and girlfriend, and like that was it. Y'all didn't really go out. But I would tell my friends like, oh, I want to ask her out so bad. But again, crippling embarrassment, never actually tried to go through with it. Until one day, one of my friends like shoved me towards her, I guess, and like forced me to do it. And so I did, and she said yes. So we started dating. Not really, but started dating. We would text, talk on Facebook Messenger. I remember one time we were talking to each other on text, and she said ILY. And I asked my parents, I said, what does ILY mean? And they, how the fuck should we know? This is your generation's thing. Like, you figure it out. Just ask. And I said, okay. So I asked, and she says, oh, it means I love you. And I said, oh, ILY too. Oh, wait, I said ILYT. And in parentheses, I put I love you too. And then she said, "Oh," but I didn't even know. Like, I was just going through it. I was just trying to learn what was happening. But then the reason that relationship lasted a week, I think, because we would finish Texas history class, and then we had different classes after that. Because I think it was like seventh period for us, and we had different eighth periods. So I would walk her to her next class, and then I would go to my next class. When I would usually walk with my friends to our next class. And my friends didn't like that. And at lunch, you get in line, you get your food from the cafeteria, you punch in your ID number, and then you go and have a seat. And like normal, I would usually try to go sit with my friends. But when I was dating this girl, again, dating in quotation marks, I tried to go sit with her, but then my friends would like straight up like refuse to let me go sit with her and like pull me away or like block me or just drag me to their table. So I never actually sat with her during lunch, even though I would always tell her I would, to the point where it was just clear that my friends didn't want me to date her, I guess. Maybe I'm just like hoping that's what they meant to do, trying to protect me. But then she broke up with me because my friends wouldn't let me hang out with her during lunch. And then she had like a new boyfriend like a week or two later, and it broke me. I was like, fuck. So that was like the first like girlfriend I ever had. I wouldn't consider it a girlfriend, but I mean, I did call her my girlfriend, so I'll consider it. We never like went out on dates. We never had a kiss or anything. I just called her my girlfriend. But yeah. Oh, that reminds me. So that was 7th grade. 8th grade. Again, another example of my crippling embarrassment and crippling social anxiety that kept me from telling a girl that I thought she was cute or that I liked her. I'd known a girl in band, because I was in band in middle school. I played the saxophone. I know, sexy as fuck, right? I met a girl. We were in saxophone class together in 6th grade, and we were in band 7th and 8th grade together. We sat next to each other. I was like, we'd always like, neither of us were always first chair. Like, one of us was second chair, the other one was third chair, and then we would just randomly switch depending on who like did better one week. So like, either I was second and she was third, or she was second and I was third. But we had known each other since 6th grade, and it was now 8th grade, and I just really liked this girl. She was cute, and like, but I just could never, because again, going back, like, I fucked up, so I didn't realize I had fucked up when I talked to that girl about the homecoming game in after elementary school. And I didn't want to ruin that with her, because we would sit next to each other in band, and I didn't want to fuck it up, and I didn't want to risk like saying that I liked her, and then she say, "Oh, I just see you as a friend," and then it gets super awkward. That's like one of my biggest fears in life. That's why I don't tend not to tell girls that like I like them or that to go out with me, because I don't want to like make it awkward. So I never told this girl I liked her. I think I told her during text after I moved to a different city, and there was no chance in hell that we would ever see each other again. I think I like mentioned in passing, like, "Hey, I have a pretty huge crush on you." I don't remember what she said. I don't think it was anything that made me happy. But I just never took the step because I was too like embarrassed or scared. I was embarrassed, but I was too scared of that she would turn me down. But and I've talked about freshman year of high school when I moved to a different city. I've talked about that before on here. I was a simp, the biggest fucking simp, asking girls out in my class through Facebook Messenger. Just total fucking embarrassment, simp standards. But then sophomore year, got a little bit of confidence, started doing gymnastics, became the mascot of the cheer team, yada yada yada. Or was it junior year that this happened? It was one of those two. Doesn't matter, probably not. It was sophomore or junior year. But I was talking to this girl that I had known that I did have a class with freshman year, but she was not one of the girls that I asked out on Facebook Messenger. But we started talking and texting each other, and one thing led to another, and I think I asked her out through text. This is embarrassing. I'm getting hot that I'm remembering this story. We agreed to go see a movie. I think it was like Pacific Rim. And to this day, I still don't remember what that movie was about. I know it was about monsters, but I can't remember the plot. And we agreed to go to this one theater that was in town. And so I didn't have my license at this point, but she did. I mean, I didn't get my license at 18. There was a multitude of reasons for that, but I didn't get my license. I didn't have my license at this point, but she did. And I said, oh, just meet me at the theater at this time. And then I had my mom drop me off at the theater like 20 to 30 minutes before I told this girl to meet me there. Because I was so fucking, like, I just didn't want her to see me pull up and my mom drop me off on a date when she pulls up in a car. And so I go to get the tickets, and the guy's like, do you have your ID? And I say, well, no, but like, what does it matter? And he said, you have to be 21 to see this movie. And I said, why? It's a PG-13 movie. And he said, oh, because we're serving alcohol. And I said, okay, but we're not going to buy alcohol. But he said, you still have to be 21. You still have to have an adult. You either have to be 21 or you have to have an adult with you. I said, that's some bullshit. I didn't say bullshit, but I was like, that's so stupid. And so I call this girl, and she said, wait a minute, I'm almost there. Will you just talk about it when I get there? And so she pulls up in this big ass fucking truck, like a Ford F-250 or something. And so me, my stubby little legs, I use like the little foot step up thing on the truck to like hop up and talk to her through a window. And I explained the situation, and she said, oh, that's weird. Like, there's another movie theater in Georgetown that we can go to later and see the movie later tonight. You can just hang out at my place, at my house, until then. And I said, okay, great. Can I get a ride with you? And I said, I made up some shit like, oh, I don't have my own car. I made it seem like I have my own license. I have a license, but I made it seem like I just don't have my own car. And she said, okay, sure. And so we go to her house. We go inside. I meet her parents, and we watch Tangled. Oh, so this is more insight into who I am as a flirter. This girl was blonde, who I was seeing the movie with, and when we were talking and I was trying to flirt, I think one time I said, "Oh, let me be the Flynn Rider to your Rapunzel." I know that's some pretty hot shit, right? I thought it was like fucking great, like a fucking great line. I mean, I still do, to be honest. It's a pretty tight line. I think I've used that relatively recently, if I'm being honest. But in high school, that shit slapped, and it got me a date, so it worked. But then we got to her place and we watched Tangled until it was time to go watch the movie. And then we went to the movie. I climbed back into her big ass fucking truck. We drove to Georgetown, saw the movie, and I was super fucking nervous. Because you know how, like, you psych yourself up before you do anything that's, like, important to you? Whether it's, like, you're about to take a test, you're about to get your driver's license, you're about to, I don't know, something big. You, like, look at yourself in the mirror and, like, you can do this, Donald. Yes, believe in yourself. I did that before this date. But my psych-up speech was like, you're going to get your first kiss today. You got to do it. Come on, Donald. Man up. Man up. I was slapping myself. I was trying to, like, get in the mind. I'm like, yes, you can do it. Do it. Do it. And so when we get to the movie, I'm like, that's all that I'm thinking about. Like, oh, my God. If we leave this movie and I don't have my first kiss, I'm going to cry. And so, like, I do like any douchey, dumbass kid does on his first date. I do the whole yawn and stretch my arm to try to put my arm around her. It worked. She was taller than me, so she had to, like, come in at an angle, so she could, like, so I could have my arm around her. And then eventually, like, as my arm was wrapped around her. We like held hands, but then again, I was super nervous, so my hands started to sweat to the point where she had to let go to wipe her hand off, and I had to wipe my hand. Oh, it's so bad. I had to wipe my hand off, and then we held hands again, but just our fingers, and our palms weren't touching because my palms were so sweaty because I was so nervous. And then I was like, fuck. And like I could tell the movie was wrapping up, and I was like, fuck, I gotta at least try. And so like I nudged her. I think I nudged her head with my head, and she looked at me, and I just kind of leaned in and just kind of went for it, trying to channel. Like I've mentioned before, I watched a lot of old sitcoms. One old sitcom was a show called MASH about doctors and nurses fighting, and not fighting, but like working during the Korean War near the front lines. And it was like a comedy and a drama. There's a character named Hawkeye who was like a womanizer. He went around, he like fucked around a lot. But like I tried to channel that character into this kiss. And I just went for it. And we had our first kiss, or I had my first kiss. It wasn't her first kiss. I had my first kiss. And the minute we stopped kissing, I was like, that was my first kiss. And she said, oh my God, really? I was like, oh, it was pretty good. And I was like, thank you. And then we kissed a few more times. And I can't tell you the rest of what happened in that movie, because leading up to the kiss, I was thinking about, oh my God, I got to do this. How am I going to do this? And then once we kissed, I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I'd had my first kiss. Oh my God, I'm a man now. And then we left. She drove me back home. Her fucking truck took up the entire driveway of my house. I literally jumped out of her truck and was walking towards my front door. And I was like, fuck, I'm probably never going to get a chance to kiss another girl again. So I ran back, climbed into her truck, kissed her again. I said, okay, bye. And then left again. And then just walked in, closed the door behind me, and went to sleep with the biggest fucking smile on my face. But then it never went anywhere from then on, because we had that date. It went relatively well. And then I told like one or two friends that we had gone on a date, and they're like, oh, are y'all dating? I said, I don't know. It was one date. And then that circulated, and then apparently like her parents found out and didn't want her to be on a date, even though they met me that day. It's just confusing. So I really, I feel like the parents didn't like me and just told her not to date me. She could date, just not date me, because I was short or whatever. Because then like a week or two later, she was posting pictures of like her and one of my friends like hanging out at her place. And Tangled was on in the background, which pissed me off even more, because I thought that was my thing. But yeah, and then the rest of high school happened, and just more fuck ups. I'll talk about those later. There's one more story that kind of is a good like cap to the other like 20 some odd minutes of failed relationships, failed flirting stories I've said so far. But this happened like this past February. And so I was dating this girl who I worked with, which was already destined to go bad. I was dating this girl that I worked with, and it had been like 2 weeks into us dating, and she hurt herself at work, and she hurt her knee pretty bad. And I have knee problems myself, so I knew exactly how to handle it. So I drove her home, took care of her, carried her inside her house, made sure her leg was elevated, the whole 9 yards. I was like a great nurse. And we were talking, just shooting the shit. I was telling her, like, make sure you don't do this, make sure you don't toss and turn too much, make sure you keep this elevated, make sure you ice it when you wake up, blah, blah, blah. And then it was dying down. I had to get ready to leave because I had to go lock up the gym that we worked at. And she said, out of nowhere, she said, I'm scared. Oh, no. She said, I want to tell you something, but I'm scared. And I said, oh, well, just tell me, what are you scared? And I was like, is it monsters? Is it dark? She's scared she's going to lose her leg. What? And she said, I'm scared because I feel like I'm falling in love with you. And immediately, all my care and compassion went out the window. And I just had fear. Like, all of my organs turned to pudding. Like, I was just filled with pudding. My heart was filled with fear. Just instant wuss. Just instant scaredy cat. And I'm processing what she said, and she's staring at me. It feels like an eternity of us just staring at each other, but really it was about 20 seconds. And the only thing that I want to say, so the thing I wanted to say in that moment was, fuck no, baby. But what really came out of my mouth was, oh, don't be scared. And then a really awkward smile, really uncomfortable smile. Didn't say I love you back because I knew I didn't. It was 2 weeks in. And then I just kind of like patted her leg, stood up, turned the lights off, and walked and like left. I was so uncomfortable. And what made matters worse is that the week after that was Valentine's Day. And the week between when she said that and Valentine's Day, because it was exactly a week. She hurt herself on a Friday, and then the following Friday was Valentine's Day. I was barely talking to her. I didn't really talk to her at work, was barely texting her. I mean, I was kind of swamped because I was making sure, like, I had submitted some graduate school applications. I was still trying to submit others. I was just kind of swamped. But then Valentine's Day came, and it was like 10 o'clock on Valentine's night, and I realized, oh shit, I haven't talked to her like at all today. I didn't even wish her happy Valentine's Day. And I was like, fuck, I can't, we're still technically dating. I can't just not do it. I can't just not show up with anything. So I texted her like, hey, I'm coming over. Happy Valentine's Day. And so I grab some like chocolate covered strawberries on my way there. And when I get there, she's in bed. Her knee is still propped up. She's watching New Girl in the dark. And in her room, she had like a big love seat and just like a couch. And while she was laying in bed watching New Girl, I came in, I said happy Valentine's Day, awkward hug, awkward kiss as she was laying down, and then I just sat in the love seat, super uncomfortable, like spine as straight as possible, and just only turned my head towards the TV and was watching New Girl and just didn't say a word. I was just super uncomfortable. And eventually we had watched like 4 episodes of New Girl in silence, and then I was finally like, fuck. And so we talked it out. I explained why I was so awkward, why I was so uncomfortable. And it seemed like we had gotten to a good understanding. And then like she broke up with me like a week later because she felt I had friend zoned her. And to be fair, I kind of did. Not my fault. I got super scared 2 weeks in for someone to say I love you. And like, I barely love myself. So how can I be expected to say it back to someone? But yeah. It's been fun trying to navigate this world. Tinder and Bumble have also been no help. I've uninstalled those bitches. But yeah, that was a good introduction into my fuck-ups in the world of dating and relationships and flirting. I do think I'll do another episode later down the line, kind of like just talking and therapizing myself on relationships, I guess. This was a nice little story-centered episode about my relationships of the past and my flirtations. So yeah, I hope you liked this episode. Be sure to follow the podcast on social media, Instagram and Twitter. I swear I'll try to get better at posting on those. If you do follow them, I apologize. I'm not the greatest at social media, but I will try. The podcast is on Spotify. It is on Apple Podcasts. It's on Apple Music now. It's also on YouTube. We have a website. thejustfinepodcast.com. Email topics, questions, guest ideas to justfinepod@gmail.com. And yeah, hope you like this episode, and I hope y'all have a just fine weekend.